Alright, this is going to be the first half of the Chapter 4 review. The second half will be on the next video. So problems 1 through 5. So in problem 1, we're trying to find out if this is a zero of the following problem. So I'm going to do this in two different ways. The first way is to do it by synthetic division. So I got 1, -3, -3, and -4. And when I plug in the 4, I get 1, -3 plus 4 equals 1. Times 4 is 4, -3 plus 4 is 1, 4 is 0. So therefore, because the remainder is 0, yes, this is a factor. Option number 2 is to plug in 4. And when you plug that in your calculator, you're going to get the answer of 0. So once again, since we got the answer of 0, the answer is yes. We're going to do the same thing with -2. The 1, -3, -3, and -4 stayed the same. This time a -2 is on the outside, so we got -5. 10 makes 7. 7 times -2 is -14, which gives me -18, so the answer is no, we don't have a 0. When I plug it in, I make sure I put it in parentheses, because without it putting in parentheses, there's a chance that my calculator will not do the correct order of operations. And when I plug that in, I also get the answer of -18. Notice that the remainder and the answer I get were the same in both problems, and so the answer once again is no. You only have to do it one way, not both ways. Yes, solve this using the quadratic formula. So you should already know, since you used it a number of times. So in this case, A is equal to 5, B is equal to -1, C is equal to 10. Never include X's or R's or any letters in what A, B, and C are. So I got -1 plus or minus -1 squared minus 4 times 5 times 10, all divided by 2 times 5. Well, two negatives make a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. And this is the square root of -199. Now, of course, negatives are imaginary when you square root them. And I can't break down 199. So there's my answer. In part 2, we got 2x squared minus 7x equals 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4. Now we could solve this using factoring, but I'm not going to, because it said to use the quadratic formula. And if you're not really sure on whether you can factor or not, then it's possible that the the quadratic formula will always work. And by the way, this should have been two negatives, and that's how I got +7 plus or minus the square root of 81. And we should know that the square root of 81 is 9. So I got 7 plus or minus 9 over 4. So 7 plus 9 is 16, divided by 4 is 4. 7 minus 9 is -2, divided by 4 is -1/2, or -0.5. Okay, we want to know if x plus 2 is a factor of this. So I'm going to use synthetic division to find out the answer, with a -2 on the outside. 1, -2, -1 plus -2 is -3, 6, -10 plus 6 is -4, 8 makes 0. So because we don't have a remainder, the answer is yes. In part B, we have 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 7x plus 1. And we want to know if x minus 5 is a factor. So I'm going to put the 5 there. 2, -5, 7, and 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Negative 5 plus 10 is 5. 25, 32. 32 times 5 is 160. So 161. So the answer is no, this is not a factor. We're asked to find the zeros of this particular equation for y. So y1 equals that up there, and I put y2 equals 0, and it looks like this. So we want to find the intersection right here, and right here. So in order to do that, you're going to go to second calculate, or second trace, and then underneath that's 5, and then the first curve and the second curve you just hit enter, so you hit enter twice, and then when it says guess, the first time I'm going to move it close to the one to the far left, and when I do that I get an answer of negative 1.9, and then I do it again, second calculate, intersect, enter, and this time I go to the second one, and so when my x is close to the second one I hit enter again and I get 0.289, and then once more for good measure to get the third one, second trace, intersect, enter, and then move over to the far right one and I get an answer of 1.36. And so there are my 3 zeros for this problem. Okay, we want to know where the zeros are, between what integers they belong to. And so since here it goes from negative to positive, in order to go from negative to positive, and this is a continuous function, will be a 0. Between 6 and negative 2, it goes from positive to negative, so once again there must be a 0, and there must be a 0 in here. Now don't just write that down. Between negative 3 and negative 2 would be one set. Between negative 2 and negative 1 would be another set of 0. And between 1 and 2 would be another set of zeros. The second set should be up later